The sixth seating chart. I had a secret crush on Ryan for 6 years, from the snowy winters of Ohio to the perpetual fog of San Francisco. The number 6 always stood between us, a 6-point gap, 6 missed encounters, 6 seating charts with our names forever side by side. I thought this long, one-sided love would fade away like all American coming-of-age films, eventually softened by time into just another page in the yearbook. Until, 6 months after his wedding, I received a package from Seattle. Inside was a 7th seating chart. The paper had yellowed with age, and the header read, Class 6, West High School, 2008. Next to my name, as always, was Ryan Miller. But what was eerie? The date on this seating chart was 10 years from today. And on the back, in handwriting I knew all too well, was a small line of text. If you receive this chart, it means the version of me in a parallel world has died. Come find me at the old classroom on 6th Street. This time, don't miss your chance. The fog outside suddenly thickened, suffocating the view. Clutching that paper, I heard my own heartbeat sync with the clatter of a San Francisco streetcar passing by. The number 6, it turns out, was never the end. It was the beginning of the loop. Chapter 1, the number 6. My connection with Ryan seemed destined from the start by the number 6. Even now, my thoughts drift back to those early high school days in the suburbs of Columbus, Ohio. After class assignments in our sophomore year, we became desk mates. He had neatly styled light brown hair, bright blue eyes, and a dimple on his well-defined cheek. He smiled at almost everyone that way. Many details from those high school years have faded, but every word he ever said to me remains clear. I had just transferred from Chicago and was already uneasy, and sitting next to a complete stranger made it worse. On the first day, I sat there staring blankly at the desktop. He walked back to his seat after checking the class list, saw me, and grinned. I scored 6 points higher than you on the placement math test. I was puzzled, not quite understanding. We both went to West Middle School, don't you remember? He added. Honestly, I had no recollection. He shrugged with a smile. I was in class 8. We were in the same accelerated math class in 7th grade. Only then did it vaguely come back to me. In middle school, I was introverted and all my friends were girls. Throughout those years, I barely spoke to most boys in my own class, let alone noticed anyone from other classes. He said he first noticed me toward the end of 8th grade because my overall grade ranking was 6th in our year, a spot he had been striving for but always fell just short of. Do you really like the number 6 that much? He teased. How is it stuck like glue? Your ranking never budges through several major exams. I smiled without explaining. The truth was, the top 5 were all straight-A students I simply couldn't surpass. Because of this, my classmates had given me the nickname 6. I never told him the reason back then. This time, his total score was 6 points higher than mine, and he seemed especially thrilled. Goodness, you have no idea how excited I am. I finally broke that 6th place curse. His smile was infectious, and I couldn't help but smile back. Congratulations. Back then, neither of us expected that 6 would become a thread woven through our entire lives. In our senior year, during course selection and class assignments, we were placed in the same class again. Spending every day together, I don't know when it started, but my feelings for him changed. Before graduation, on a crucial SAT practice test, our total scores differed by 6 points. I received early admission to the University of Michigan, he did not. It hit him hard. He shed his usual easygoing smile, stopped playing basketball after school, and often stayed alone in the classroom to study. I wanted to tell him not to take it so seriously, not to push himself so hard. But the words caught in my throat. In the end, I silently packed up my locker and prepared to leave school early. Just before I left, he stopped me. Emma-Lyn, your future will shine brightly. I couldn't hold back my tears, my voice trembling. Thank you, Ryan. On graduation day, he gave me 6 seating charts, one from each semester from freshman to senior year. Class rosters and seats kept changing, but one thing remained constant: our names were always next to each other. For 3 years of high school, we were never separated. I found these while sorting through old textbooks, he said. It always felt like a strange coincidence, so I kept them. A memento for you. 6 seating charts, locking away our entire high school era. After that, we lost contact. I didn't know it then, but that obsession had only just begun. And we could never escape that number again. The first reunion was outside his ACT testing center. Holding a small bouquet of sunflowers, I stood under an oak tree, watching him finish the exam and talk with his parents in the parking lot. As if sensing something, he suddenly turned. We gazed at each other across the bustling crowd, but neither of us took a step forward. In that moment, I understood, our high school era was truly over. The second reunion was on a platform at Chicago Union Station. He greeted me first. I was surprised. What a coincidence. Yeah, he smiled. Really is. He headed to Duke University in the South, I went north to Michigan. Our trains pulled away in opposite directions. The third reunion was during an alumni day at our old school. I had already earned my master's from Northwestern and happened to pass by, so I dropped in. While climbing the stairs on a phone call, I looked up and saw him coming down, wearing a simple gray sweatshirt. We both froze, one on the steps above, one below, just staring quietly for a few seconds. Finally, all that came out was a stiff, long time no see. The fourth reunion was on Christmas Eve in our hometown. Snowflakes drifted down, the square was packed, and friends dragged me into the crowd. When I finally looked up through the mass of people, I saw a familiar figure not far away. This time, there was a petite, lovely blonde girl beside him. The way he looked at her could melt snow. He was in love. The fifth reunion was at a high school class gathering. It was my first in many years, and I hadn't expected to run into him. Old classmates even joked about us. You were desk mates for 3 years, why so distant now? All I could do was smile. The sixth reunion, and the last, was at his wedding. I'd received the invitation a while back and learned he was getting married. The bride was the girl from that Christmas Eve square. On the invitation, she leaned her head slightly against his shoulder, both beaming. At the wedding, their eyes hardly ever left each other. He truly loved her. When they came to toast at our table, I joined in the well wishes. He even teased me lightly, Emma-Lyn, you should find a good man too. All I could do was smile. After that, I never saw him again. Occasionally, I'd see updates on Instagram. He'd moved to Seattle with his wife and child. I smiled softly, as if finally releasing a decade of silent attachment. A few years later, I was promoted and transferred to the San Francisco branch, where I settled long-term. One day, my daughter came running to me holding a blank sheet of paper. Mommy, there's writing on this paper. She shone a black light on it, and a line of small text appeared. Emma-Lyn, I've always liked you. In that instant, every memory came flooding back. What a pity. In the end, we only ever existed in each other's memories. Extra Story 1, A Time That Can't Return. What do you do when you've completely given up on someone, only to suddenly learn that they loved you too? I never imagined life could be so dramatic. In the 16th year since we met, he returned, for treatment. He was admitted to the medical center in my city. As perhaps the only person he knew here, I went to visit him. We were both 32 by then. A full 16 years had passed since we were 16. Illness had stripped away all his youthful vigor. He was gaunt, nearly emaciated, lying in the hospital bed like a fragile child. Sitting by his bed, memories surfaced one after another. It hurt. How did that once radiant boy become like this? He asked softly, do I look very ugly now? Just not as handsome as before, I said, trying to keep my tone light. In my heart, he would always be that bright-smiling 16-year-old. Gazing at the ceiling, he slowly said, we met when we were 16. 16 years later, we're 32, each with our own families, our own lives. You have a daughter, I have a son. There's no going back. I asked, do you miss those days very much? He didn't answer, just turned his head to look at me. Emma-Lyn, I might be dying soon. My breath caught. I pretended to be angry. Don't talk nonsense. You're just sick, you'll get better. I know my own body, he said, looking out the window with a faint smile. This year. I probably won't hear the summer cicadas. I didn't know what to say. He always had a way of pulling me back into the past. I didn't stay long that day, almost fleeing after a few hasty words. But after that, I grew closer to his wife. She needed to arrange a school transfer for their son. Seeing the boy's face, so much like his, softened my heart. I offered to help and, using connections I'd built over the years, got her son into the same private elementary school my daughter attended. I don't know what prompted me, but I deliberately placed the two children in the same class. Every time I picked up my daughter, seeing that little boy in the line gave me an indescribable sense of comfort. That spring, he passed away. Sure enough, he never heard the cicadas. Thinking of it, I always want to curse him, that mouth of his, whatever he said came true. The funeral was held in our hometown. I took time off to go back. All day, I felt numb, unsure what to do, just standing dazedly before his portrait for a long, long time. Afterward, I returned to San Francisco and resumed work, parenting, life. Everything was as usual, as if his departure had left no mark on my world. Not long after, his wife invited my daughter and me to her home. As soon as we entered, my daughter ran off to play with his son. His wife brewed coffee and told me to look around. On the living room bookshelf was a family photo, him with his arm around his wife, smiling warmly. I shifted my gaze, then abruptly froze. Next to it was a framed, yellowed classroom seating chart. Recognize it? His wife walked over. The high school seating chart. He always said it was his most precious keepsake. He actually kept it. My voice sounded stiff to my own ears. When we moved, anything could have been left behind, but he always carried this with him. We sat down and talked about future plans. She said she would raise the child alone, with no intention of remarrying. It will be hard raising a child alone, I said. She was silent for a moment, then suddenly looked at me. Emma-Lyn, we met through a matchmaker. He never really loved me. Our families thought it was suitable, he didn't dislike me, so we got married. I was stunned. Before we were engaged, he told me there was someone else in his heart, just an unrequited love. He said if I minded, we could call off the engagement anytime. She smiled slightly. It was me who didn't want to cancel. I liked him, thought we could build a life together. Love or not, I didn't care much. She looked down at the coffee in her cup. He was very good to me, respectful, family-oriented, a good father, but I knew that wasn't love. Why are you telling me this? My voice was very soft. Her eyes were red, but she still managed to smile. Not until we moved back did I realize, the person he could never forget was you. The name always next to his on that seating chart was yours. I lowered my head. In this life, there are always things we have no choice about. But why do people who love each other often miss their chance, while those who don't can spend a lifetime together? She took my hand. I kept him in this life. In the next one, I'll give him back to you. Afterward, I stayed in touch with his wife. Feeling that since he was gone, I ought to look out for them for his sake. My husband is a good man. But between us, it feels more like family, there was never that burning passion of love. Perhaps people whose hearts hold someone else shouldn't expect passionate love. One night, after finishing a bedtime story for my daughter, she suddenly wrapped her arms around my neck. Mommy, do people have next lives? In your next life, will you still be my mommy and still love me and daddy? I was at a loss for words. Luckily, she fell asleep quickly and didn't press for an answer. Gently stroking her soft hair, I whispered. I'm sorry, sweetheart. In the next life. Mommy wants to go love someone else properly. Two cowards don't deserve love. But if there really is a next life, next time, I'll be brave. Extra story 2, his perspective, the unspoken affection. Ryan Miller was a coward too. He secretly liked Emma-Lyn for years but only dared stay by her side as a desk mate. What he remembered most was an ordinary dorm night in the fall of senior year. The guys were talking about girls. They'd had this chat many times before, but that day was different. They were talking about Emma-Lyn. Never thought Emma-Lyn was that pretty before, but she's actually quite good-looking the more you see her. Her voice is so soft, her personality gentle too. Makes you want to protect her. Someone nudged his shoulder. You've been Emma-Lyn's desk mate the longest. What kind of guys does she like? He felt inexplicably irritated, disliking the tone they used when talking about her. Definitely not your type, he retorted coldly. In the dark, they thought he was joking. I bet she likes the student council president type, top of the class. Seriously, she's too pure. Anyone who gets to be with her would have to cherish her like a treasure. He agreed with that. Emma-Lyn deserved the very best. She hardly talks to any guys, only chats with Ryan the most. Could she like you? Someone suddenly asked. His heart skipped a beat. Before he could react, another guy laughed. No way. I asked her close friends, she never mentioned Ryan. If a girl likes someone, she definitely tells her friends. Right. If nothing happened after being together day in and day out, it's probably just friendship. He stopped listening. That brief moment of hope now seemed laughable and pathetic. Yeah, if she liked him, why would she never mention him? After PE the next day, his friend Mike sat beside him. Mike was the only one who knew his secret. Do you think there's any chance she might like me? He finally asked. Even a glimmer of hope would do. Mike patted his shoulder. Bro, what they said yesterday might be true. If she's never mentioned you to anyone, she probably really doesn't feel that way. You should let it go. The last shred of hope went out. Emma-Lyn probably really only saw him as a good friend. Confessing would just make everything awkward. So he said nothing. Later, she graduated early and went off to college. The only thing he could do was give her those 6 seating charts as a memento. On the back of the last one, he wrote in invisible ink. Emma-Lyn, I've always liked you. That pen, he'd bought the same model back in middle school after seeing her use one. How ironic, that in the end, he'd use it to write words she'd never see. After college, his mother introduced him to a girl. She was cheerful and outgoing, her smile a bit like Emma-Lyn's. His mother liked her a lot. He figured feelings could develop over time. He couldn't stay single forever just clinging to a hopeless crush. People say you need to clear out your heart to let someone new in. But what if it never clears out? Stay alone forever? Marriage isn't necessarily the destination of love, it can also be a promise of companionship. And he would never betray his wife. His wife truly was good, kind, considerate, filial. There might not be love, but there could be familial affection. That's what his wife once said to him. He was very good to his wife, almost as if making up for something. In others' eyes, they were a model couple. After moving to Seattle, life was calm and steady. He thought his life would just continue like this. Until he was diagnosed with a serious illness and had to return home for treatment. In the hospital, he saw Emma-Lyn again. She already had a daughter who looked like her but had a more outgoing personality. He asked if she was doing well. She said yes, her husband treated her well. That was good. She was happy, he had no regrets. 32 years old, he was married, she was married. That summer when they were 16 was gone forever. Any regrets? Not really. After all, she never liked him. That year's cicadas, in the end, he never got to hear them. Time to go. Extra Story 3, A Dream, Their First Encounter. Her name was Emma-Lyn. Soft name, soft person. The first time he noticed her was in the middle school teacher's office. She was the class representative for the next-door homeroom, and they often crossed paths in the office. What really made him remember her was the time she stood getting scolded in front of her homeroom teacher, back straight, head lowered, hands obediently behind her back. Sitting at his own teacher's desk grading papers, his ears perked up listening to the conversation over there. The subject teacher was criticizing her class's discipline, finally getting to her. I've always had high hopes for Emma-Lyn. I never expected her to break the rules this time too. I could have made her stand with the rest of those troublemakers, but since she's a girl, I brought her to you separately. He wondered, what could she have done wrong? Then he heard her homeroom teacher ask gently, Emma-Lyn, why were you eating snacks in class? Eating snacks? She kept her head down, her voice tiny. What the kids behind me were eating smelled really good. I didn't eat breakfast, couldn't help but try a little. He almost laughed out loud. So that was it. Her voice was soft, she was soft. From then on, he started noticing her without realizing it. She got along well with everyone, always surrounded by girlfriends. Sometimes he'd see her sitting on the bleachers by the basketball court with girls from her class, laughing as friends playfully pinched her cheeks, always blushing. When her friends went to chat up boys, she'd just stand to the side grinning, completely unaware she was third-wheeling. He often thought, if only she were a bit bolder, she should join in the cheering. Unconsciously, his entire middle school memory became filled with glimpses of her. He'd pay attention to her grade ranking, always 6th in the year, steady as if carved in stone. Before the high school entrance exams, he found out which high school she was applying to from a teacher, then filled in the same one on his form. Fate can be strange sometimes. We were both placed in class 6, became desk mates. On the first day of school, he took the initiative to say hello. That was courage saved up over 3 years. She smiled at him. He never hoped for more. He heard she liked someone else, being able to stay by her side was enough. During a major exam senior year, she did poorly, her ranking dropping dozens of places. After school, he searched the entire campus and finally found her by the lakeside in the reeds. She was crouched there, face buried in her knees, crying. He crouched down beside her, silent. She looked up, eyes red. Ryan? What are you doing here? Her voice thick with tears, like a frightened little rabbit. Playing hide and seek, he tried to lighten the mood. I don't know how to face this grade. She grabbed his sleeve. Ryan, I failed. We might get separated. His heart clenched. He patted her back gently. No, we won't. We won't be separated. Later, he went to beg their homeroom teacher to let him keep sitting with her. The teacher saw through him but didn't call him out, just said, if you two can keep your grades in the top 10 of the class, then fine. We managed it. 3 years of high school, 6 seating charts, our names forever side by side. Before graduation, she got early admission to the University of Michigan. He was genuinely happy for her. He knew how hard she worked. But seeing the empty seat beside him where she used to sit left a huge hole in his heart. He studied harder than before. He wanted to go to the same university as her. But he messed up the SAT, his score wasn't enough. At the train station, he ran into her. All the best, he said. In college, he had a dream. He dreamed they got married, a garden wedding. There were pink balloons she loved, 999 white roses, a little flower girl bringing the rings. She was in a wedding dress, a veil over her face, holding a bouquet as she walked step by step toward him. Do you take her? I do. In that dream, they went to the same university, got together freshman year. He brought her breakfast every morning, went to class with her. They always sat in the very back row, she'd listen attentively while he messed around beside her, tugging her ear, stealing a kiss on the cheek. She'd always blush and push him away, a smile in her eyes. 4 years of college, married right after graduation. Any regrets? None. Because in that dream, she loved him too. Then he woke up. Just a dream. Reality was, she never loved him. What a pity.